Section 7. Prosecutable Practices. Fair Housing Practice in the Market. Introduction. When real estate crosses the legal line. As we move forward in this course, we now enter one of the most critical areas for every real estate professional: prosecutable conduct. Up to this point, we've focused on laws, definitions, and compliance. Now, we are looking at what happens when those laws are violated. This section is where real estate becomes very real. The actions discussed here are not just unethical, they are illegal, and they carry serious consequences including fines, lawsuits, and loss of license. In 2026, regulators, courts, and consumers are more aware than ever, which means agents must operate with extreme care in how they communicate, market, and advise clients. Blockbusting, a historical practice that is still illegal today. Blockbusting is one of the most well-known illegal practices in real estate history. It involves inducing homeowners to sell their property quickly, often below market value, by creating fear that property values will decline due to the movement of a protected class into the neighborhood. The legal definition centers on manipulation and profit. An agent spreads rumors or uses messaging that suggests demographic changes will negatively impact property values, then uses that fear to generate listings and sales. This practice is strictly prohibited under federal law and many state laws, including the Fair Housing Act of 1968. Real-world scenarios: how blockbusting happens. Let's look at how this might appear in real life. In one scenario, an agent distributes marketing materials suggesting that an ethnic migration into a neighborhood will cause property values to drop. The agent encourages homeowners to sell quickly to protect their equity. In another scenario, an agent sells a home to a minority buyer and then contacts surrounding homeowners, warning them that property values will decline because of demographic changes. The agent then persuades those homeowners to sell at reduced prices. In both cases, the agent is using fear-based tactics tied to protected classes to generate business. This is a textbook example of blockbusting and is illegal. Understanding the impact of blockbusting has a long and damaging history in the United States. It contributed to segregation, destabilized neighborhoods, and caused significant financial harm to homeowners. Because of this, federal law clearly states that suggesting the presence of protected classes will negatively impact property values is both discriminatory and illegal. Today, even subtle messaging can be interpreted as blockbusting. This includes emails, social media posts, conversations, or marketing campaigns that imply demographic changes will affect value. As a professional, you must always rely on objective market data, not fear or speculation. Lowball appraisals. When valuation becomes discrimination. Another prosecutable issue involves lowball appraisals. A lowball appraisal occurs when a property is valued below its true market value, sometimes due to bias or improper consideration of protected characteristics. For example, if an appraiser undervalues a home because of the race or background of the homeowner or neighborhood, this could be considered discriminatory and a violation of fair housing laws. Homeowners who believe their property has been undervalued have the right to challenge the appraisal. This process may include reviewing the appraisal report, gathering evidence such as comparable sales, and filing a complaint with housing authorities. This reinforces a key principle: all valuations must be based on objective data, not subjective bias. Deed theft, a growing risk in today's market. Deed theft is another serious issue that continues to impact homeowners, especially vulnerable populations such as seniors or individuals facing financial hardship. In these situations, scammers, often referred to as foreclosure rescuers, approach homeowners who are at risk of foreclosure. They promise to help by paying off the mortgage and allowing the homeowner to remain in the property. However, the homeowner is asked to sign over the deed as part of the agreement. What the homeowner often does not realize is that the scammer has no intention of returning the property. Instead, the homeowner is eventually evicted, and the scammer keeps the equity. Two major warning signs of deed theft include lack of full disclosure regarding the transaction and false statements about the property's value. Real estate professionals play a key role in preventing this type of fraud by recognizing these warning signs and reporting suspicious activity. The role of education in preventing deed theft. Many homeowners fall victim to deed theft because they feel they have no other options. In reality, lenders often have programs available to help avoid foreclosure. As an agent, one of the most valuable things you can do is guide clients toward legitimate resources, such as their mortgage company or housing counselors, rather than allowing them to fall into the hands of fraudulent operators. Education and communication are powerful tools in preventing fraud and protecting the public. Discriminatory advertising. The most common violation. Advertising remains one of the most common areas where fair housing violations occur. In today's digital world, a single listing description, social media post, or advertisement can create liability. Fair housing laws strictly prohibit any advertising that indicates a preference, limitation, or discrimination based on a protected class. There are no exemptions to this rule. For example, phrases like perfect for singles, ideal for a certain group, or even imagery that suggests a preference for a specific type of buyer can be considered discriminatory. Even unintentional language can have a disparate impact, meaning it discourages a protected group from applying. This is enough to create a violation. There is one narrow exception for shared housing situations. In cases where a person is seeking a roommate for a shared living arrangement, gender-specific advertising may be allowed. Connecting prosecutable practices to your daily business. As a real estate professional, every action you take, from conversations to marketing, must be carefully considered. The practices discussed in this section are not just historical. They still occur today, and they are actively enforced. To protect yourself and your clients, you must avoid fear-based or demographic-based messaging. Use objective data in all communications. Ensure advertising is neutral and inclusive. Recognize and report fraudulent activity. Understanding these risks is essential as we continue through this course, especially as we tie these practices into fraud prevention and consumer protection strategies. Online discussion. Question 1. What is blockbusting and why is it illegal? Answer. Blockbusting is the practice of inducing homeowners to sell by creating fear about demographic changes affecting property values, and it is illegal because it is discriminatory and manipulative. Question 2. How can a homeowner challenge a lowball appraisal? Answer. By reviewing the appraisal, gathering comparable data, documenting property features, and filing a complaint with housing authorities if necessary. Question 3. What is a key responsibility of agents in preventing deed theft? Answer. To recognize warning signs, educate clients, and report suspicious activity to the appropriate authorities.